Picture this. It's 2005 and 12-year-old me is bored at home on my family's Dell computer running Windows XP. I had no friends to talk to on AIM except SmarterChild, who was a meanie, so in between making angsty away messages of My Chemical Romance lyrics, I decided to try and make some fan art of my favorite show, Invader Zim. And it looks really bad. This is when I decide, I don't think I like MS Paint one bit, and maybe art isn't for me. So I never touched the program ever again. Until now. Howdy there, friends and foes. My name is Kat, and I'm the kind of artist that gets bored of using my fancy drawing tablets and software. So sometimes I like to take on the challenge of using old and weird stuff to make art, because I think you can make something rad with just about any kind of tool, device, or program, with a little creativity and a lot of pain. So come watch me suffer. Can you not do that, Cosmo? Can you say it louder for the people in the back? I'm picking the series back up after I recreated that Caravaggio painting in Kid Pics and the Goya piece in Mario Paint, like well over a year ago at this point. And today I present you with the challenge that I undertook of trying to paint something in Microsoft Paint for Windows XP, only using a mouse. This mouse, to be specific. Yeah, that's right. Mama's a gamer now. What I ended up creating was a monstrosity that combined the default Windows XP background, which is called Bliss, by the way, and elements of Christina's World by Andrew Wyeth, which is like one of my favorite paintings of all time. I call it Christina's Bliss, which is kind of messed up if you know the story behind Christina's World. She is in the grass because she could not walk and refused to use a wheelchair and dragged herself by her hands around her house. Anyway, we love a disabled queen. I didn't get the idea to match up these two things. I initially was just going to recreate Bliss, but I was like looking at it for several hours while I was drawing it, and I was like, it needs something. Oh, this hill kind of looks like this other hill. Wouldn't it be funny if I mashed them up? Okay, now let's spend hours doing that. Was it worth it? Yes. All right, so I think it's really important before we get into this. Sorry, I always do a lot of preamble, but I think it's important to talk about the limitations of Microsoft Paint specifically for Windows XP before showing you the process, because wow, this program sucks so hard, y'all. Yes, it's limited in what it can do. Obviously, it was made to just be a very simple way to edit things or add things or make something quickly and not serious artwork like I'm trying to do. But like, why would you call it paint if it, like the focus is not on painting? I don't know. I would rather use Kid Pics any day of the week than use Microsoft Paint. That being said, I also love it. So I really like the results from it, but wow, it sucks to use. Oh my God. So many things could have been so easily fixed, and they just chose not to for 4 generations of Windows. That's right. Microsoft Paint for Windows 95 and XP are exactly the same. They changed literally nothing. It would have taken an afternoon for them to have added not even extra functions, but just making the program more functional, like adding literally any keyboard shortcut for any of the tools. You would think you could just like press E to use the eraser. Nope, you can't. You have to click the icon. Want to know what they do have shortcuts for though? You can invert the colors with a shortcut. Why? Flip and rotate it. Well, that's kind of useful. Or how about being able to undo more than 3 times? Thankfully, you can add custom colors to this bar down here, but it is an extremely frustrating and unintuitive process that takes forever when you're doing it like 50 to 100 times, and it's very challenging to keep it organized. I don't know why they designed it the way that they did. Oh, also, they don't save, by the way. I found that out. If you close the program, you will lose all of your custom colors. There's no way to save it. It's just gone. But the biggest, most frustrating thing, and this made my life miserable, these tiny little brushes, this is all you have. This is the biggest brush you can use. You cannot increase the size. There is no functionality to increase or make steps in between these brush sizes. You have these 12 brushes and that is it. They could have so easily included bigger brushes or the ability to increase the size of the brush with a keyboard shortcut, but they didn't. KidPix has better functionality and makes more sense. How do you manage that when you are a multi-billion-dollar company and you have 4 generations of an operating system to fix it? Explain that to me, Microsoft. I saw you reply to one of my tweets, and I almost replied to you with, your program sucks, but I didn't, just in case you find the image that I made or this video and you want to use it and give me money. In which case, I love you and you're great. Why don't I have sponsorships? It's crazy. One more thing. I did not record any video or audio of me on the first day because I honestly thought I was not going to use the footage that I recorded of my screen because I thought it was going to be really bad and I was going to have to start over, and I was like, this is just a test. And then it started looking good, so I kept it because I didn't want to redo it. Okay? All right, let's start this challenge.
We have important work to do.
So I started this piece just like anything else that I do. First, I found the hair of a virgin, tears of Bill Gates, but unfortunately I couldn't get the necessary ear of a cat, so I just started blocking out that iconic hill shape and used the paint bucket tool to get an initial idea of the sort of large color areas, so I'm not working on a white background. I broke Bliss down into having 4 main elements. The foreground, which is cool and dark. The hill, which is much more bright and saturated and has a lot of kind of tricky, smooth gradients. The blue of the sky, which starts from this very light, pleasant, muted blue and some purples, and then goes down into this very deep, rich, almost like ultramarine or like a cobalt color. And finally, the clouds, which are really their own beast and probably what I spent the most time fleshing out, honestly. I don't know why I started by only using the largest round brush. I don't think I realized how much more surface area the angled one gave, and I liked the style that it added too, so it's kind of a bummer that I started only with the round one for some reason. I initially went way too light with my colors on both the hill and the sky. I figured that was gonna kind of happen, but it definitely caused some issues later because I had to darken everything over and over again, and I had to go over stuff that I already did to just make everything match and make sense, but it wasn't too bad. Clouds like this are so fun to paint because you don't really have to get things perfect to get it to look good. You can kind of just suggest the clouds and your eye sort of puts it together for you. I love the way that it subtly transitions into this purple color in the background from the atmospheric perspective and those sort of bluish purple in the mountains. I love that color specifically in a lot of paintings. One of the nice things about MS Paint is that it's technically a bitmap editor. That means all of the colors don't blend with one another, so they can be kept separate, which means you can use the paint bucket tool to change colors without worrying about weird issues of certain colors just not catching under the paint bucket. That part did make it very helpful. I try to use the angled brush to my advantage when trying to create depth in the sky by like angling my brush strokes in such a way that it kind of looked like it was receding back into space. I think it worked some places, but maybe was a bit too distracting in others. By the end of the first day, I had achieved a surprising amount, and I was like, wow, I'm like almost done with this thing. Oh, what a fool I was. This is day 2. All right, so where I'm at. It's looking actually kind of, I'm shocked at how close it looks. I actually like how it's kind of stylized. Oh my god, did it? It didn't save my custom colors. Ah, come on.
Oh, come on.
Now, a break from your regular scheduled programming to tell you more about why Microsoft Paint is, in fact, the worst. I need to try to explain why the edit colors menu and this custom colors bullshit sucks so bad and is so unintuitive and convoluted, and the logic of it makes no sense, has no consistency. It's very challenging to try to explain why it's so bad until you've used it and you're like, oh, just what you expect it to do is not what it does at all. All right, okay, let's say we want to change one of these boxes. We open up the edit colors menu. You then have to hit define custom colors. Oh, also, why are these color swatches laid out in a totally completely different way? These do correlate to these in this menu, but there's more of them that don't exist in this menu. Why isn't it the same? Why didn't you just include all of these in this menu down here? It makes no sense. Whatever. Okay, let's look past that. If you want to make a custom color, the only choices you have is to start from one of these basic colors. You can't like start from a previous custom color. If you try to do that, you will overwrite the previous custom color. So you have to start from white or one of these. If you hit OK, it'll overwrite the swatch that you selected, but it won't save it to the custom colors. So then it's just like locked in here. And then you have to open it again and then add it to your custom colors, which overwrites the previous one. Like, do you know how tired I got of going up here, hitting edit colors, going down here, defining custom colors, selecting color, adding it to my custom color, then going, fuck, I accidentally overrid the last one that I did. Then being like, okay, I guess I'm gonna start from a new one. I guess I'll start from white, try to make something that matches very close to the other colors that I put down. Then I would hit okay and lose that color, and it would just happen over and over again. It made me so angry. What, honey? Do you need to come up here? Okay. I feel like this needs to get a little darker. I don't know. So one subtle thing I did in the clouds that I think might have helped is that I never used pure white. Even the lightest lights are tinted slightly, and that's something that I do when I physically paint as well, because if you use pure white or pure black, it's going to look really dull and lifeless, and it doesn't actually reflect how light works in the real world. I feel like maybe I'm making these like clouds like just a little bit too big. It definitely sucks not having the luxury of layers working in programs like this when you like need to move stuff around or redo something. But honestly, like I've become so used to it from working in these kind of very limited programs, so it doesn't even actually bother me anymore. This cloud's kind of in the wrong place. You can't really tell from this footage being sped up so fast, but this cloud gave me so much trouble and I worked on it for hours and I don't even think I necessarily recreated it accurately. What a bummer. These clouds are in the wrong place too. God damn it. What do you need? What? Why are you so loud? Do you need help? Okay, don't yell at me. Christ. What did I do to you? Oh, sorry. That area is still a little fucky-wucky, so I'm gonna leave it right now. It was at this point that I kind of realized how broken up and too busy the hill was. So I started like putting in larger swatches of colors. It was starting to just look very linear, and it was flattening all of it, and you couldn't really feel the shape of the hill anymore because of the way that I was rendering it. Some friends and I were discussing Bliss while I was doing this, and we pondered whether or not Bliss is actually maybe the most viewed image in the world. I have no evidence to back this up, but I tried to think of another photograph that had been viewed so many times, because so many millions of computers shipped with Windows XP, and it was just at a time where computers were becoming way more accessible to the general public, at least here in America, and not many people ever changed the default wallpaper. So like, think of how many times this image has been viewed over the decades. I can't think of another singular image that could possibly be viewed as much. Some bliss for thought. Man, this fucking cloud is so hard. I don't know, I'm just like not getting it. Even though you can only undo 3 times in MS Paint, it still kind of felt like a luxury over Mario Paint where you can only do it once. But I still don't know why they kept it this way all the way through Windows XP. Like, I don't understand, it's so stupid. I'm so worried I'm gonna zoom out and this is gonna look bad. No, that looks okay. A little too busy, but I don't know why I thought this didn't look bad. It looks really bad. Like, it looks so out of place and over-rendered, and I spent hours correcting it. I think I was feeling a little bit delusional and I just wanted it to be better than it was. But that's okay. That's what art is all about. Oh my god, Cosmo. Okay, I think I'm gonna take a break for today, and I'm going to finish up the details on this tomorrow. I think I primarily just need to do the foreground, and then I'm just gonna fucking call it, because I'm over it. So this is when I came up with the deranged idea of incorporating elements of Christina's world into the piece. I ended up flipping it horizontally because otherwise the composition wouldn't really have made much sense, since you would expect the focal point of the house to be on top of the hill, and you also need that visual line between Christina pointing towards the house to establish the connection between them. Also, the lighting was already consistent once I flipped it, so it like worked out perfectly. Because Bliss is so much greener than Christina's world, which is pretty brown when you look at it, I know I had to skew a lot of the colors cooler to help match the overall tone of the image. I also chose to incorporate some green reflective light in the shadows of her dress. That way, it like really feels like she's sitting in the grass, and the lighting and the environment is like interacting with her in a way that like makes her feel more grounded. It helps like keep the logic of the whole thing. I also find it really helpful to do these kinds of master copies because you learn so much about the process of people's art you admire. It made me realize that like a lot of the anatomy of Christina is a little wonky, but it still works somehow, which I think is a testament to how successful the painting is. Even though MS Paint drove me completely insane by the end of doing this, it does have the big advantage of being able to choose any color opposed to like the 2 previous programs I used for this series. I tried to use that to my advantage by like creating a bunch of very subtle hue shifts within the sky and the grass to make them feel like less monochromatic and flat, and give them a bit more dimension and sort of replicate some of the artifacting you find in photographic images. After working on this new addition to the piece for a few hours on day 3, I took a break and prepared myself to work on it for one more day. Hello gamers, my body is revolting and even pressing the mouse button hurts. Love a disabled queen. So I'm probably not going to do that much more. I worked on it a little bit off camera, but I'm not feeling great about the way that the grass looks. It looks too choppy. I need a half a cup with choppy cans. My ADHD meds have worn off. So my brain currently feels like a loading screen.
It's not even baking yet.
Maybe I can simplify some of this mess, and I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Particularly here on the left. It's just, something ain't right. Know what I mean? Or do you? I'm gonna have to change some of the way that this grass kind of behaves in the foreground, because otherwise it's gonna make her look really, really out of place. I mean, she already looks out of place, but it's gonna feel like she's just plopped on there. She's not like integrated into the environment. So I need to, I don't know how I'm gonna do that, to be quite honest. I'm getting really tired of opening up this freaking colors menu too. I think I clumped up the sky a little bit too much. It needs like a little bit, I don't know. MS Paint sucks, dude. There we go. Mama's cooking now. I just wanted to kind of like simplify some of these areas. Nope, not that. Nope. I'm really glad I took the extra time to smooth out the transitions between the blues and the purples in the sky, because they were like way too chunky and distracting, and I think smoothing them out really improved the whole piece. And I think I kept enough of the color variation to still make it interesting to look at. Yeah, computer, can you enhance this and turn up the 4D, 3D, 3D3?
3D3 engage.
Now for a break from your regular scheduled programming to explain to you why the magnifying glass tool is the worst. This is actually the dumbest thing, I think, in this program. So the magnifying tool, for some reason, it goes from 1x to 2x to 6. It is missing 4x, which is a pretty useful step in between these two, but it doesn't not exist in the program. Oh no, it exists. What you have to do to zoom in to 4x is to go into View, then Zoom, then Custom, then select 400x. Why? 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 And now back to me suffering. I said this before in a past video I made about Andrew Wyeth a couple years ago, but my mom actually grew up in the town over from the Olsen house, that's what this house is called, in Maine, and it's now like a museum. It is incredibly peaceful and it's a beautiful place, like halfway up the coast of Maine. So if you are ever traveling to the area, I highly recommend you visit it. Is this done? Is it done? I think it might be done. Or I'm done. I should clean up just like a couple little things. And so I began the final push to finishing this piece.
On this computer.
I put my head up on your hip and do dip, dip, dip. I head up, I put my head up on your hip and you dip, dip, dip. I put my head up on your hip and you dip, dip, dip. I put my head up on your hip and you dip, 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 dip. I put my head up on your hip and you dip, dip, dip. I put my head up. Dip to the front, now dip to the back. Come on, baby. What's up with that? Come on and rock this joint. Let's get this party right now. Dip to the front, now dip to the back. Come on, baby. What's up with that? Come on and rock this joint. Let's get this party.
I'm done. I'm logging off, gamers. All right, folks. So here is the completed version of this piece I'm calling Christina's Bliss, done in MS Paint for Windows XP using a mouse. Overall, I'm actually pretty happy with how this came out. I think even though it's like silly and kind of a meme image, like I put a lot of effort and work into it. I feel like I made something a little bit more original than the last two times. I just flat out recreated something. So I think I'm going to take that concept and apply it to future videos in this series. I think this was a successful challenge in my quest to prove that you can make cool things with any program, any device, any tool. Thank you so much for watching. I want to see what I can do making like serious stuff rather than kind of like goofy meme images. I really like using weird technology like this. Just having those limitations frees me. I feel free from the anxiety of choice. It changes my whole relationship and my approach to making art, and it feels funner and more engaging. Hope you enjoyed. And special thank you to my patrons over on Patreon. I objectively love you more. If you would like to become a patron and have access to videos early, hours of painting guides, tutorials, stuff, head on over to my Patreon and buy a physical copy of my game if you would like. You can also play my Game Boy game, the Game Boy Camera Gallery Mystery Show, over on my itch.io page in your browser for free, or you can download it and play it in an emulator or on a flash cart if you don't want to buy the physical cartridges. I have some fun videos planned out. I have some more intense videos planned out. I hope I can get to those soon. I'm really going to try to crank out some stuff this summer. From me and Twister, this little lump. Oh, the microphone stands in the way. Can you see this boy? Okay. Anyway, for me and Twister, signing out.
Now I'm gonna take half a cup of chopped pecans. It's not even bacon yet.